Hi everyone, I got a really exciting study to go over today. The biggest AEO study analyzing over 1 million prompt and associated sources and really figuring out what are the factors that actually lead to brand visibility and what are the factors that don't matter as much. And how LLMs really decide to surface your brand and what exactly is driving that decision. By the end of this, you will really know the exact variables that actually truly matters for each and every LLMs and the weight of each variable and what to essentially focus on and optimize for. This study was done over a period of 3 months, and the models that we're looking at here are GPT-4o, 4.5, Claude Sonnet 3.7, Gemini 2.0 Flash, 2.5 Flash was not available yet, Grok 3, Perplexity, and then the methodology is a very important section. This is section 4 for those who wants to nerd out on how exactly we approach this study. So the other piece is impact variables and the description of these impact variables. It's very important because sometimes some of these can feel a bit vague. We try to make them as actionable as we can. When we hear citation and mentions, we know what exactly you're talking about. When we hear AI crawlability, we know what we're talking about. When we hear sentiment analysis or social signal or data frequency, you can get the exact description of each and every variant. So let's go into the study itself. You can see that the variables impacting AI search visibility are these 15. I'm not going to go through all of them. I think you can read here, but what I can tell you is AI crawlability and structured data has moved significantly higher here compared to the last report that we ran. And you can see here that it's scoring quite high with models like Perplexity and Grok. Content quality, depth, relevancy. This is sort of like the fundamentals of good content on the web. Is it trusted? Is it relevant to the prompt? We can argue that this is a foundation of good SEO, but you can also argue that it's a foundation of good communication and marketing and content marketing in general. But AI crawlability and structured data is where I feel like this gets more interesting to me. And again, other things that we did not really score as high up, like, social proof and reviews and UGCs. While these are important, we're not saying they're irrelevant here. They're still showing up, which means that they're important. Everything here in this study is important. I've heard people saying that, if you just really own your conversation on Reddit, that's just how you dominate AI search. And that is not entirely true. Same thing goes for search engine rankings. And we're referring here to conventional search engines. That is also not entirely true. We've heard ranking on Bing is how you dominate ChatGPT. That is not entirely true. And we can see here in these variables. If you want to look at the weights of each and every model by the variant, you can see these weights here broken down in priority order. One thing, this is a critique to our team, but we were already deep into the study when we started looking at it that way. We shouldn't really be weighing these models. They're not of equal weights. ChatGPT is much bigger than Perplexity and other models. One has nearly 50% of the market. The other one is much smaller, but we're assuming equal weight here. Just something to keep in mind when we're looking at the normalized weight. In this study, it's entirely broken down. AI visibility and priority by tiers here. You can see tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You got the most impactful variables and sort of some high-level recommendations that you can do to tackle each and every variable. Things like your robots text file, just making sure that it's on allow. That all matters for AI crawlability, but also citations on the Wikipedia's major publishers. That matters in your space. Each industry is different. Even Reddit, as we mentioned, still relevant and important. Increasing the brand mentions across these sources is what you really want to be after. That impacts the frequency, and that impacts both the citations and mentions and the likelihood of getting picked as a retrieval source and being referenced as a brand. You got in the tier 2 here, verifiable performance metric, localization. For local brands, this matters. We tried to make sure that we have comprehensive prompts here that were analyzed, but some prompts are already localized in nature, others are not. And when the prompt is localized in nature, the model will likely pull local sources. You can also see the tier 3, like the search engine rankings, still matters. Social proof, social signals, those still matters, and what you need to do in order to boost your visibility there. And this is where you can see AEO and SEO sort of also overlap between this report and the other one. Good SEO is a great foundation for AEO. AEO is much wider, much larger. We're also seeing a new approach to conventional strategies that we've seen in the SEO space, like link building and and internal linking and things of that nature that doesn't matter here as much. But what we're seeing is the sentiment, the relevance of the mention, the quality of the mention, the topical authorities, and really like just a comprehensive view of how your brand is represented on the internet, because you are what the internet says about you. You're not who you think you are as a brand, at least from the LLM perspective. So if you want to be perceived as a strong brand by LLMs, you got to focus on these variables. So inside by model, it's also another way to dice and slice the data here, where you can see sort of what mattered for each and every model, and some of the core elements that matter for ChatGPT versus Claude. You got Perplexity here, Grok, and Gemini. So, and you can see sort of the breakdown of some noteworthy insight about each and every model that came up on the data. And the same thing, you can go into like, the variance across these models, all the way to the recommendations by sort of universal strategies and recommendations that matters. And I think in summary, it's really about the quality of content and the freshness of the content that you're providing. Quality of content matters in SEO, still matters in AEO. Structured data, it also matters for SEO, but here it matters a whole lot more. And really making sure that your website can be retrieved by training bots and by retrieval bots that these LLMs are sending frequently. The citations really matter, from highly relevant sources to the categories and topics that you're trying to dominate. And really like when you cross-reference between multiple sources, it's actually consistent. So hopefully this study is helpful if you need to do this at scale and in a methodical way and get better data on your LLM visibility and performance in this sort of newly created digital shelf that everyone is rushing to get into. Feel free to reach out to Goodie. That's our shameless plug here. We'll be publishing more and more of these studies. I think it's important for our industries, and this category gets created. We couldn't be more excited for in the SEO space. I feel like I don't want to say we're flying blind for far too long, but I feel like we just didn't have the ability to pull this level of data in the SEO world. We always had to use and rely on third-party data. Right now, we can actually engage with these models directly and make sense of how we're perceived at scale. So thank you all. Hopefully this is a helpful report. Let's stay in touch. We'll talk soon.